On Tech News Today, the NSA's quantum computer, augmented reality contact lenses, and Android on the desktop coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
It's Friday, January 3rd, 2014, and this is Tech News Today. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Mike Elgin.
I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Jason Howell.
Tech News Today delivers the top tech news in 30 minutes or less. Let's get straight to our top news. The NSA is trying to build a quantum computer that could crack nearly any encryption, according to a new report in the Washington Post. The story is based on documents provided by Edward Snowden. The NSA's computer would be exponentially faster than regular computers, but it won't be easy to build. It's not like they have it right now. Quantum computing is feasible, but it'll probably be a few years before anyone will be able to build one, especially the NSA. The NSA's project is part of a research program called Penetrating Hard Targets.
Yikes. 4K video is coming to YouTube. Google's planning to demo 4K video using its new own VP9 video codec, which challenges the H.265 video codec standard because it's open, it's royalty-free, and very fast, at least according to Google. The company's VP8 codec, which was released in 2010, had a bit of a lack of hardware support, but this time, VP9 gets support from 19 major hardware partners like LG, Sony, Panasonic, Samsung, Sharp, Toshiba, ARM, Intel, Broadcom, and others.
Are you ready for augmented reality contact lenses? I'm not. A company called Innovega freaked everybody out last year at CES by demonstrating Google Glass-like smart glasses called iOptic, but ones that use contact lenses to focus the virtual image. Well, don't look now because they are back. This time, Innovega staff will be wearing the prototypes of the product. Last year, it was just styrofoam dummy heads. And the system uses glasses to house the electronics and battery and special contact lenses to focus the image and improve the illusion that screens are floating around in the air. The Innovega iOptic glasses could be on the market even before Google Glass.
Walking the CES floor is a bit like a scavenger hunt to find the best tech, and then your feet hurt, and it's kind of a mess. This year, CES organizers are using Apple's iBeacon to make it a little bit more fun. It's an official game. You download the CES iOS or Android app, and then you collect badges every time you encounter an iBeacon at the event. The first 3 players to get all the badges gets a yet unspecified prize, and I hope it's maybe a new pair of shoes or something. iBeacon is Apple's indoor positioning system that uses Bluetooth Low Energy, or LE. CES is using iBeacon products from Radius Networks.
Facebook is getting sued for sharing private user messages with advertisers. The class action lawsuit claims that links shared on Facebook are, quote, intercepted and shared with advertisers and marketers in violation of the Electronic Communications Privacy Act and California privacy and competition laws. Links are treated as likes, which affects the advertising displayed to the user. Facebook denied the allegations. The lawsuit demands $100 per day of the violations for each user, or $10,000 per user.
Live video streaming is coming to Google Glass. The company behind the app is HangWith. They already make iOS and Android apps that live stream video to anywhere between 1 and thousands of viewers. Now the company plans to announce HangWith for Google Glass. It's still in beta, but it'll be at CES on Tuesday. Google Glass users can already do Google Plus Hangouts with up to 10 people, but not Hangouts on air. That's what's live streamed to the public.
GraceNote is launching a new internet radio platform today. It's called GraceNote Rhythm. The company is calling it Radio as a Service. Customers can be just about any kind of business, anything from anybody who needs elevator music to calypso for a bar or something. And the Rhythm service lets them create something like their own custom Pandora, complete with the ability to like, dislike, or skip songs. GraceNote President Stephen White told VentureBeat that Rhythm could be used for car dashboards, even internationally, unlike Pandora, which is only U.S. GraceNote is a music data company that was recently acquired by Tribune Media for $174 million. The Rhythm API should become available to developers in February.
Good news, football fans who are also cord cutters. That's me! According to a report in Variety, Fox plans to live stream the Super Bowl for free. That's the good news. The bad news is it's only available to U.S. users. Sorry, rest of world. The other bad news is that if you want to watch any other NFC postseason game, you need a subscription to Comcast or AT&T Uverse or Cablevision or another Fox partner. Super Bowl Sunday is set for February 2nd.
Well, that's our top news, and let's turn to the conversation. Sarah, what's going on with AT&T? It seems like they're scared of somebody.
Yeah, well, GeekWire ran a story this morning that AT&T is going to be offering a credit to T-Mobile customers who switch from T-Mobile to AT&T. Now, it sounds like it's sort of in response to a news conference that T-Mobile has set for Las Vegas next week. Rumors plan that it's planning to do basically the same things AT&T and other carriers as well. The idea is that it would offer up to a $350 switch fee. Well, not switch fee, that they would give you $350. And that would cover the cost of early termination fees, which, of course, is one of the reasons that people don't leave some of the big carriers. The funny thing about this is it sounds like AT&T wants to beat T-Mobile to the punch and say, well, we would also like to pay you to come to us from T-Mobile.
Yeah.
And AT&T has already, we've seen AT&T and Verizon both bend to T-Mobile offering a lot more flexible plans, because T-Mobile for a while was supposed to be bought by AT&T.
Right.
That whole thing fell apart. U.S. regulators wouldn't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of turned into, well, T-Mobile it's a little guy, but they've got the best plans because what do they got to lose? And they've actually found some success with subscribers that way.
Yeah, they seem to be leading the market. Companies, especially AT&T, seem to be responding to T-Mobile as opposed to the other way around. And you notice they're not offering this service for the other carriers. It's T-Mobile in particular that they seem afraid of. And I think it's not T-Mobile as a company, it's T-Mobile's model, the Un-carrier model, where they try to get out of the whole the subsidies and lock in and contracts and all that kind of stuff, which is really AT&T's bread and butter in mobile.
It's funny because for a long time, and I'm a Verizon subscriber, but I had AT&T for quite a while. It's one of those things where you say, well, you try to pick the lesser of the evils, but you know that you're kind of getting overcharged and the customer service is bad. Mm-hmm. And T-Mobile has its problems as well from people I know who use T-Mobile. But in general, you've got the CEO, Jean Legere, who's kind of taking pot shots at AT&T on a regular basis, and at least people who work in the media, that's kind of fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And you figure a company like AT&T has really enjoyed just being huge for so long, and Verizon even larger. And if you can watch a smaller carrier figure out how to win over some pretty stressed out people who don't want to pay and don't like these early termination fees and these crazy group plans that aren't very good deals at all, that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
It could change the market.
Yeah, it very much could. And any sort of innovation is great. In AT&T's defense, they have really good coverage in most areas. I have a mixed marriage. My wife has T-Mobile. I have AT&T. And, it's very often, I complain sometimes about AT&T. She complains sometimes about T-Mobile. But when it comes to coverage, AT&T usually beats them out. So interesting story, and we'll see what else AT&T does to sort of protect themselves against the mighty T-Mobile.
Never thought I'd hear you say that.
Acer introduced an all-in-one PC that's as big as the Apple iMac and has a screen with identical resolution. It's not a Windows PC. It's an Android PC, a 27-inch all-in-one Android called the Acer TA272. Now, this thing has wide viewing angles and 10-point capacitive touch. It's a desktop. Think of it as an Android tablet that's a 27-inch Android tablet mounted to the desk. It's got a quad-core processor from NVIDIA, and it has 16 gigabytes of RAM. So it's not a wimpy system. Its suggested price is around $1,000, $1,099. You'd probably be able to buy it for a lot less than that. It has front-facing speakers. This, to me, sounds like a really appealing product. I think that desktop touch computing is coming, and it's going to be mainstream eventually. It's great to see something like this at low cost coming out. I mean, is touch desktop something that you ever had an interest in?
Well, it was going to be my question is like, okay, well, if it's a desktop PC that's running Android, that sounds cool, but am I touching it? Do I have the opportunity to go back and forth with a keyboard because that doesn't necessarily work for the app-focused sort of square home screen type thing. The desktop part of it is weird to me, and it's not because I don't like a bigger screen or a dedicated place to sit and do some computing. I have that at home, and I'm not looking to get rid of my desktop PC anytime soon, but it kind of gets weird when you have to be touching your monitor.
Right.
You have to have a completely different setup, and I don't know that all of the, office chairs and the desks and everything that kind of goes along with having a place where you're going to sit and do your office stuff is that conducive with a touch screen environment. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's not that weird to have the monitor a little bit closer to me so that I can touch it. But it still feels like a hybrid thing. Yeah, I think the sweet spot is a combination of the size and the angle. I think the bigger the touchscreen is, the more appealing it is to use as a desktop touchscreen because you take advantage of this vast area and that's the payoff. Whereas if you had a iMac or one of these things with a screen bigger than 27 inches, let's say you had a 40-inch screen, that's too big to just use as a regular desktop. However, it's a touch thing, you can use it as a table. The angle is important too. I mean, if you look at how people have been working historically, people work on tables. Drafting and engineers and architects work on drafting table type angles. That's a very low angle. What you don't want is the gorilla arm factor where you've got this thing that's vertical and you're going like this all the time with your arms out. That's a horrible way to work and it's uncomfortable. I don't think anybody wants that. The key for this category, I think, will be to lay it flat. Now, having said that, I don't think this is going to take the market by storm. I don't think they're going to be putting Apple out of business anytime soon, and I don't think it's going to be a big challenge for Microsoft in the short term. But I think the whole industry is trying to get to desktop touch computing, and Microsoft tried to do it with Windows 8, had to back off on the touch user interface stuff. Apple's trying to sneak in little touch user interface things into OS X, and Google's way is to just let the industry do it, and here Acer is stepping up and doing it. Well, good for Acer. It'll be interesting to see how much people really take to something that's clearly not mobile. Yeah. It's a mobile operating system that's not in a mobile format, and maybe you don't actually want to walk away with that desktop computer and go anywhere. But it's a psychological thing.
It straddles a strange line because it's definitely also, like you said, a desktop computer. But when I think of desktop and I think of no keyboard, like that doesn't work for me. I do think that touch is a big movement right now. And actually my prediction for last year was that touch was going to be really kind of one of the big trends. And we're starting to see that. And especially, kind of hopefully moving into the major desktop solutions. But not having a keyboard just kind of boggles my mind. I don't know how you do that on a desktop. Like that doesn't seem productive.
Well, I think that, and hopefully you guys are going to be talking about this on All About Android and going into it in depth, but I think that the sweet spot is to have on-screen keyboards for lightweight use to do a lot of stuff that people traditionally did with these kinds of input, writing emails and stuff like that, with voice command eventually. Again, I'm not saying that this is the way that people are going to be using this device. And the other thing is that you're always going to want physical keyboards for people like me, for example, who's write a lot of stuff, and I'm very comfortable with a keyboard. So it's really about the right kind of keyboard. The keyboard in a very large screen would actually be placed right on the screen.
Sure.
And then, of course, the other missing thing is apps. If you have a very large screen, 27-inch screen, running apps that are designed for a phone, it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
Kind of like Fox News. If you've seen Fox News' big set, they have these big screens.
Right.
But then everything is big. The icons are big. It's all too big. So, you really you need more industry involvement in this than just one hardware company creating a colossal tablet, basically.
Sure.
So Blackberry and Alicia Keys, it sounds like they're
breaking up, Mike. Oh, they're breaking up from her fake job. All right, so less than a year after Alicia Keys was named the Global Creative Director for, it was RIM at the time, at an event last January. It was the same time that the company announced BlackBerry 10 OS. It was long awaited, and they wanted to make a splash. She was part of the team, and it was kind of funny because before joining the team at RIM, Alicia Keys had her own iPhone app. She was actually very she
She's
had a
Apple
very
fanboy.
yeah, poor girl, and she had a very active Instagram account, which was only iOS and Android at the time, and that kind of had to get abandoned. Soon after the Blackberry team had announced that she was their creative director, she had sent a tweet that had it was from, I don't know if it was the official Twitter app, but it basically said what device she was sending it from, and it was an iPhone. A lot of tech people laughed and said, haha, see, it proves that she's not really a Blackberry user. So, it's a little bit of a rocky road. She's not the only celebrity/performer that's been tied to a product. I know Lady Gaga and Polaroid, that was CES a couple of years ago, I think. Nobody's really sure what she does for them either. So it's not as if it was that bizarre. But especially 1 year ago, the whole future of Blackberry was so up in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, Blackberry 10, I kind of predicted it would be dead on arrival. I don't know that you could exactly say that that's what happened, but it wasn't the splash that they wanted it to be.
Yep.
What do you think? Do you think that Keys is like, I can't do this anymore, you guys? Or it just kind of ended up being a partnership that wasn't made in
Who
heaven?
broke up with whom?
Yeah.
You could see it going either way. Either Alicia Keys didn't want to be associated with a losing company, or the company didn't want, or they may have decided to terminate her contract earlier in the year after the iPhone incident because it was so embarrassing. And even today, here we are talking about the iPhone fiasco. The whole point of having a phony baloney title like that is that you have an evangelist, somebody who just lives and breathes your product, and here she was living and breathing an Apple product. I think that this whole experience with BlackBerry and Alicia Keys may kind of end the whole fake creative director. As far as I'm concerned, you're not a creative director unless you're in meetings all day, right? I know creative directors. They work very hard, and it's just weird. And if you're going to do something like this, if you're going to give somebody a fake title, make them director of engineering. Get them in there designing products and see what happens. That would be really, really awesome. I'd love to see her designing products.
Oh, Robert Downey Jr. is now, was it Lenovo? I don't want to get that wrong, but he's kind of...
No, HTC, right?
Is it? Okay.
HTC?
There are too many celebrities promoting products. And it's like he's Iron Man, but he's himself, but because everybody thinks he's such a cool Iron Man, and you say, well, there's sort of a geek thing involved, and it never really works. In my opinion, I don't know who is buying any of these products because their favorite music artist who won some Grammys said that they liked it as well. It always seems like a sham to me.
On the other hand, people like Alicia Keys have enormous numbers of fans who are very devoted. I see her on Google Plus and elsewhere, and they'll do anything she asks them to. So maybe there's some way to integrate huge stars like Alicia Keys, but giving them a fake title is probably a bit much for the cynical media. Well, Dreamworks animation studio that brought us Kung Fu Panda, Shrek, and Madagascar is getting into the tablet business. The studio is teaming up with Fuhu, which makes tablets for children, to launch another line of kids' tablets called the Dream Tab. It's launching at CES, of course, as is everything else. It's probably going to cost about $300. They're planning a 12-inch version for the future as well. I guess the big tablets are going to be with us this year, and they're here to stay. The Dreamworks characters are integrated in the UI. So, for example, when there's a dialogue box or something, Shrek will be harassing you about, doing something, asking you to yes, no, close, whatever. They're using it like a cable channel. And to me, this is going to be the controversial thing about this. Think about it. You give a child a tablet from a media company like Dreamworks, you're essentially giving them a TV with one station. And so I think that's going to be the controversial thing about it is, do you really want to give a tablet that is optimized around a specific content media brand?
Not having small children of my own, I can only speak with a babysitter's level of authority, but I do know that kids tend to watch the same thing over and over. They kind of just want to watch something. Yeah. And if there's a movie or maybe a series that has gone over well, they'll watch it a million times in a row. So in a way, I don't know that this is a bad idea. But as a parent, then you're kind of, you're choosing a content brand. You're not giving... you're not buying a device for a kid where you have that much control over what they're watching, and it's kind of like in the day and age of YouTube. I know a lot of kids are just watching videos on YouTube, and you watch whatever you want. There's a million other stuff if you like a certain kind of genre. So it does seem limiting, but I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a Shrek fan out there that's like, well, that's all my kid wants to watch for the next 4 years.
They're also promising that in the future, this tablet will work with Dreamworks branded toys. So there'll be wireless connections to various things, and the kids will be able to be a second screen to some other device or something like that. And to their credit, I guess it's to their credit, they're also showing programming from Nickelodeon, Disney, Cartoon Network, and not just DreamWorks stuff exclusively, but the DreamWorks content will be front and center. And yet another interesting thing about this is they're going to be creating a lot of exclusive content that will be made just for this tablet, for the users of this tablet. So it's a new world, I think, for content creation organizations with money. And it's kind of a simple thing if you think about it. You'll partner with a company that's already making the kind of devices that you want to brand and make, and then once the device is in the hands of kids, you can subsidize it to a certain extent, kind of the Amazon model where you subsidize the sale price and then you make money later by essentially, let's face it, it's like a commercial for DreamWorks toys and merchandise and things like that. So
can you imagine one kid's got this extra 30 minutes of a show that the other kid doesn't have? It's like, it's like 100 Happy Meals right there.
Right, exactly.
This is like a Trapper Keeper. It's like customizing your tablet. Can I point out one really nerdy Android thing? Either they've skinned their tablet to look a lot like Honeycomb in the control and user interface, or it is actually running Honeycomb. I hope that's not the case.
That's hilarious. Maybe Twit should launch a line of tablets. How about that?
Other people develop our apps. We develop our hardware.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, it will run nothing but Twit programming 24/7. Coming to you soon. All right, well, that's the conversation. Let's see what we have in other news. Canadian and European researchers and engineers have created a space gecko robot designed to crawl around in the hulls of spaceships doing repair work. The robot is called Abigail, and it uses microelectronics that mimic the toes of geckos. If you remember from biology class, geckos have millions of tiny hairs that bind to surfaces at the molecular level, giving them superhuman grip and allowing them to climb on everything. Well, this robot does something similar to that. I think, I don't know what you think, but when I see this, I think iRobot needs to get on this technology and build a Roomba that will clean my windows and crawl around on the outside of my house doing work for me.
Clean the crayon off the walls.
You know how hard it is to get my new landlord to clean the outside of my windows? It's impossible, actually. She is refusing. So, yes, I would love this as well.
You need a robot landlord. It'd be ideal.
Let's just robotize everybody. Be so many fewer arguments out there.
So, Sarah, what is the most expensive smart bracelet you've ever encountered?
Glad you asked. Ferrari is working on a smart bracelet, and it's only going to run you $189,000 US. But it's worth it, you guys, because it's going to get you access into exclusive clubs around the world and in places like Abu Dhabi and Hong Kong, and even lets you order drinks or summon what it calls a dedicated lifestyle person. It's kind of like a personal assistant, I guess, by tapping a button on the bracelet. So before you're like, this is crazy, how many diamonds are on this thing? The project needs a lot more money. It has less than $100,000 raised in angel funding so far. We've only seen mock-ups of the product, suggest that it's using NFC and Bluetooth LE to be able to communicate. But in general, it's one of these things that really, really rich people who don't have enough to do will probably like very much.
I assume that at $189,000, it comes with a Ferrari?
No.
Oh, the car is not included?
No, it's jeweled. So you'll have bling on your wrist, and you basically have a slave who you can summon around the world.
All right. Well,
I'm not exactly sure what you can make them do, but they're going to come when called. So
fair enough.
There's that.
Fair enough. Well, that's our show. Next week is wall-to-wall CES announcements and discoveries, so tune in for our coverage all week long. In the meantime, upvote the stories you'd like to see us cover on our subreddit at technewstoday.reddit.com. Email us at tnt@twit.tv. Call us at 260-TNT-SHOW and visit the Tech News Today website at twit.tv/TNT. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you Monday.